are you going to do both?
I'm not sure yet because when we were over there last time, I worked out that my body's not quite broken, so it was quite hard for me to even hit the day before to warm up and then hit the next day. I was knackered the day after warming up. So when I had my first round, I couldn't even swing the golf club. Trying to get used to that heat over there. That heat, hitting in that heat was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that the day before I hit.
You don't get that. So I guess, what part of Australia are you in? Because I would have thought that you'd get a lot of heat there.
Yeah, we're in Queensland, so it's hot here, but we get a lot of humidity, what makes it a lot sweatier. But we don't really get to that sort of when we're over there, or we're in, what are we, Fahrenheit or Celsius? Well, one of them. And we looked at it and it was 42 degrees for us. So that was hot. So just a different sort of heat. Like over there, you could go into the shade and you were fine, but as soon as you step in that sun, it was game on. We get heat here, but we like our aircon, so we train in aircon. So it's quite good.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Where I live now is in Arizona, and in the summers it gets extremely hot. Yeah. So it's kind of a natural adjustment for me to go from where I live then into Mesquite, because it's a very similar climate. But yeah, I can understand if you're not used to that, it's a shock. And of course, I grew up in a different area, so it was a shock coming into it.
Yeah, and we'd just come from winter when we arrived at Mesquite. So yeah, we don't get cold winters, but it's cold. We got down to sort of 15 degrees. What's cold for us, but yeah, then rocking up the next week and we come over and it's 42. It was a lot different for us.
So yeah, I had forgotten about that, or just never thought. So you're switched, like when it's summer here, it's winter there, and
vice
versa. Wow.
Yeah, so we don't get the white Christmas you guys have at the moment. We just get a hot Christmas. We get storms.
Wow. Is it very seasonal for you for when you can play and practice, or do you have pretty good access year round?
Yeah, we're year round. So our events next year will be year round. We sort of try and get our events in Queensland in winter because it's quite warm still. But down the bottom states like the likes of Melbourne and Sydney, they get a bit colder in winter. But yeah, Queensland and North Queensland, very hot still. 30 degrees, 25 degrees sort of thing in winter in the middle of the day. So it's quite nice. Yeah, we can train year round. We can do events year round. So we're quite lucky in that way.
So we're recording. So let's just go into it here. So what's going on right now as far as your season? Because it is your summer. Yeah,
well, we're sort of
what kind of time frame and whatnot?
Yeah, we're about to kick off our season next year, early next year. So we're looking at starting, I think our first event's 24th of February. So we've got a month or so to lead into it from the start of the year to get everything knuckled down. So yeah, 24th of February, and then we've got about 6 events locked in already, and just venues that keep coming at us to have events. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, start of the season. We try and go from January to December for our seasons.
Okay. So you're running all year. Do you try to then like time it so that you're like peaking then going into the PLDA World Championship in Mesquite?
Yeah, so we've got a heap of the boys training over here pretty hard, getting ready for it already. We're all amped up to get there. So yeah, we've got our couple of major events at the start of the year, and then we drop off middle or sort of June. We don't have any events sort of April, May, and then we kick off again in June, July, getting ready for the Worlds. So yeah, we'll hopefully have probably 5 events before the Worlds. So plenty of lead time for the boys to get some practice in, some tee time in.
Yeah. So it seems like going back, even before I got into the sport, Australia always had a good presence at the World Championship. Japan and Australia always really have seemed to be vocal and to be like big fans and participants of the sport. Why do you think that is for Australia?
It's unreal over here. Yeah, once people see it, I think it's because it's so foreign to people. Where in America, it's been on TV, it's been promoted hugely through WLD and etc. But over here, we don't have that. So it's everyone's goal to try and chase to be on TV, to get over to the long drive with the Americans. It's huge for us to come to America. It's just huge for us and to compete against the top guys. We all look at the Americans as the top guys. So, yeah, to have that presence and to be able to get there, I think that's what makes us sort of want to be there. Mm-hmm. Not having what you guys have over there is another thing. So, yeah, a lot of us just want to chase that goal and that dream to be there with you. So I think that's what it is. It's just, and we love putting on a show. We got some, crazy showmen over here that just love the crowds. So it's pretty cool.
So we're having a bit of an internet issue here. Okay. Well, hopefully it comes through smoothly for the viewers. But it's also a huge commitment for someone in Australia to come over and compete here. Like, so right now where I live, I can just drive to Mesquite. It's, it's maybe a 7-hour drive, 6-hour drive. But you've got to make probably a few flights, but what, like a 18-hour travel day for you?
Yeah, direct, it was 14 hours if we go direct, but most of us couldn't get there direct this year. So it was 18, 19 hours. We were 21 hours home. But once again, just to be there, it's worth the journey. It's worth it.
That's awesome. I would imagine, although that's just a lot to go through, that probably adds a little bit to the excitement because you're just like thinking about it all day. You're traveling. You get to like just get excited and have it feel really like an adventure and like something really significant, which it is.
Yeah, definitely it was. It was the first time myself and my girlfriend had been to America. So just that journey there was amazing. And just to know that we were coming to Mesquite, the mecca of long drive. I've only been involved in the sport for about 3 years, but always known about Mesquite. And yeah, just to turn up there when we pulled in, when Greg Mooney, he was our driver, he drove us in. Just about had a tear come out of my eye to see the place. It was just unbelievable, just to know we were there. It was a crazy feeling. It was so good.
Yeah, the first time you get there and you see the flag up on the mesa and just the beautiful wall of rock back there, it's a great place to see. Which is in part like for all the spectators who can come out. I know it's usually a bit of a drive from Vegas or wherever you're coming in from, but for a spectator, it's worth it. And it's hard to match that scenery when you're watching guys, especially as the sun starts to set a little bit and you have even a better sight line of the ball. It's so pretty to see it up against that backdrop. And then, if you're competing, it's just awesome. And you see, because also that time of day when the sun is kind of going down, you can see the ball land better. And when we're hitting it 400 yards or whatever, sometimes it's hard to see that far and see the ball land. So when you can actually see it, and that just adds to the excitement even more.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. And the one thing I said to everyone and said to the American boys over there, I said, the ball floats. It's like the ball just stays in the air forever. Because in Australia, we have a lot of humidity, so we've got to get the ball out of the sky as quick as possible. Over there, it's just like the ball doesn't want to come out of the sky. It's just, it's such an unreal vision seeing that ball go against the backdrop of the mountains. It's just, it was... Still can't wipe the smile off my face about the place.
Excuse me for a second. I want to tell you real quick about my favorite training aid and a sponsor of the podcast, the Lag Shot. It's designed with what they call lag flex technology that'll help you to create and maintain more lag in your swing, which will give you better consistency and more speed, which we all want, right? But my favorite part is that you can go out and actually hit balls with it. It's a real club. They make a driver, a 7-iron, and a wedge. So you can incorporate it into your practice sessions to ingrain the better technique that it's teaching you. Once you try it, you'll see why I love it. Go to lagshotgolf.com/crush or click the link in the description below to get 15% off. lagshotgolf.com/crush. Do you make any like technical or equipment changes to loft up or increase your spin or anything?
On that day, when I hit I hit into that massive storm we got in the morning on was it the Wednesday, I think? Yeah. So that would just blew everything out of the park. But yeah, the boys wound their drivers up a little bit because just to put the ball in the air for longer, you just over here we got our drivers sometimes set at 3 degrees, and then over there sort of wound them up to 5 or 6. So especially when that tailwind came in on the last few days. I know Seb got his driver up to, I think we put his driver up to about 6 degrees just for that tailwind.
You should see if you can make it to Colorado, because that's even more exaggerated in terms of the thin air. We're at elevation. The tee box is even a little bit elevated, which I think it should be for the sight line, but the ball really flies there.
Yep. Nice. Yeah, we're trying to get over to a couple this year. I know Seb and Matt are planning to compete quite a lot over there, do a few events. Nice. There's a couple of boys here, myself and Matty Nichols. We're hoping to get over there for an event before the Worlds especially. So that's the goal, yeah.
Very cool. So how did you get started as the organizer for PLDA Australia? How did you take that role?
Well, I went to an event, my first event ever. It was 3 years ago. Done one event, and I just got hooked on it. And some of the older guys that have been in the sport for a while, I asked them who to go and see for a coach that I wanted to do this sport. It was good fun, even though I am only a little midget compared to everyone else. I just wanted to have some fun with everyone. So there were no events happening in Australia, so there was a couple of us here. Just decided to set up in Queensland and run some events in Queensland. We reached out to Bobby and Ryan about golf balls and that, and then they sort of found out we were going to run events, and they just suggested, do you want to jump on board and be part of PLDA and look after Australia? And it was something we couldn't say no to. Having PLDA branding is just knowing that we're in with the world's best. It was a no-brainer. So we just took on the events from there. And then we've got to where we are. So trying to grow the sport in Australia. It's been hard work, but we're getting there. We've had a lot of setbacks we started as Bobby and Ryan did during COVID. Trying to take things off during that time of year. And then this year we've had a lot of natural disasters with flooding in Queensland and New South Wales. So we lost about 5 venues due to flooding. So, now we're just focusing on what we've got to do and growing the sport. So we're finding new players every event we go to. We find some new kids. It's pretty cool to see. Puts a smile on your face when you've got these new kids that have never known about long drive come along and are swinging 140 on their first event. It's just like, wow. It was just luck pretty much that we sort of wanted to do some events, and Bobby and Ryan reached out, and here we are, part of it. So part of the journey I hope takes long drive to the next level around the world.
Probably one of the hardest times to start a new organization, but also, it has its own unique kind of, opportunities. And certainly with what has happened over the last couple of years with Bryson transforming his golf game and getting into it so heavily. And I think that's brought a lot of people who had that like what I would call a false notion of that long drive is bad for your golf game. And now they're kind of seeing, oh, wait, well, that's not really true. You can certainly do both. And it's probably also a really great growth time now because people are realizing that. And like you said, when people are coming out and they're swinging 140 miles an hour right off the bat, you know that you're getting great athletes from the go. It's not that they're only doing golf. They're only interested in golf. I feel like years ago, that was kind of it. Like somebody does golf or somebody does baseball or whatever. Like they have like predetermined positions. Now we're getting some of those people that could do any sport and they're choosing long drive.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. We've had a couple of indoor events and we've had some baseball players turn up, and it's just crazy to watch their movements. It's so cool. And that's where the Americans, because baseball's so big over there, it's so good to see other sports can evolve to long drive and actually make it work, because these baseball players are crazy. Their movements it was pretty cool to watch.
So, forgive me for my ignorance, but is rugby the biggest sport over there?
Yeah, in Australia, we've got a few codes of rugby. So we've got AFL, Australian football, and then we've got rugby union and rugby league. So same as New Zealand, those sort of sports are
Okay.
huge.
Does that, because I know like I've seen them, however, the throwing, that's kind of rotational. Do you feel like that carries over at all to golf? Or are they separate movements?
Separate movements, I think, from passing a ball. You sort of got the turning aspect, but yeah, your rugby players are just big boys. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's a little bit different to the movement in golf.
Yeah, I guess there wouldn't be much rotation in it, but like you said, they're big guys and great athletes, phenomenal athletes. So I feel like
Yeah,
if they can get some rotational stuff in early, it probably comes pretty naturally to them.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Are there any other big sports that are rotational there?
We've got one of the Olympic discus throwers. He trains with us sometimes, Matt Denny.
Ooh,
So he's
okay.
fourth ranked in the world for discus. Yeah, he came along to one of our training sessions and went 151 straight off the bat. It's just, yeah, his movement is just the rotational, just unbelievable. Just to see someone like that just go boom straight off the mark. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of his stuff things on Instagram, not for a while, but I was really impressed. And I think people that come from that background, they have, I'm sure part of it is genetic, but also they've trained their body to be so fast twitch
Yep.
that then when they get a golf club in their hands, it probably just takes a little bit of time, and then they're carrying over that freakish explosiveness.
Oh,
And I think
yeah,
that's what like a lot of
definitely.
people really should do. I know like nobody's going to be nobody who starts like now, if they're already a long driver, is going to obviously get to his level of a discus throw or Olympic lift, whatever he's doing for his training. But I think that would help them a lot to try to get better like he is.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's just the movement and just the elasticity of his body is just crazy. It's just for a big man, he's not small either. He is a big boy, and to move that way, it was pretty cool to watch.
It's really cool when you see someone like him and his swing, or a baseball player that might be a big guy, and they still have what you said, that elasticity, so that the stretch shortening side, the reflex is like it's something that everybody should have, but people tend to get like kind of tight and muscle bound and just try to do it. But then you look at someone like that and they're very loose, they're very whippy and snappy, and it's a good reminder for everybody, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm working myself on a lot of mobility at the moment because I've gone from the bodybuilding years and years ago, now trying to do long drive and trying to get longer. And yeah, the mobility thing's huge. It's something
Hmm.
I put in my gym program every day.
Yeah. I was talking with Bill Miller, and I've referenced him a few times since I had the episode with him, but he coaches a ton of baseball players over here in the States, and he is a big advocate of that like separation where the lower body is leading through, and it's almost like at the last minute your arms and hands go. And that's really difficult to do in golf, well, because I think so much of golf instruction, from my perspective and what I've been hearing growing up, when I was younger, was to have the lower body leading and lagging and everything like that. But then they never advocated the actual release of the hands and the arms, which is just as important. So you have to get both. But if you're trying to only
Yep.
do the lagging, I don't think you'll ever quite get that full potential of the speed you have. And it's I think doing other sports and throwing a discus or whatever it may be, I think helps people to get back to that better movement pattern, which can be tough to train back into.
Yep,
So,
definitely.
what are you doing now to? You said mobility, but like what other exercises and stuff like that have you found to be helpful?
Just a lot of plyo stuff. Like we're doing a lot of box jumps, 100 repper exercises, just to try and keep
Hmm.
that body subtle. Yeah, as I'm just about 45 and haven't really done much mobility stuff before, I'm finding it pretty hard, but so beneficial in my swing. Movements that I haven't been able to get, we're finally getting. at training with the golf swing. So, yes, it's coming a long way. It helps amazingly.
Mm-hmm. And you have a golf background, though, right?
Yeah, I've played since I was 11. So got down to a +2 handicap. Played a lot of top level stuff back at home
Oh.
in New Zealand. So yeah, and then just as you got older, when you got to 18, 19, you sort of found other things, had a bit more fun, and yeah, golf sort of disappeared for a little while. But yeah, I've always come back to always love my golf. But yeah, once got into long drive a few years ago, it's just kicked my want for golf again. I just love getting out and hitting, going onto the course, having a hit, training. Yeah, it's pretty much my life now, other than a little bit of building.
Nice. Now, so you're from New Zealand, but you now are in Australia?
Yep. From New Zealand, little town over there, and then, yeah, now I live in Australia. So been over here for about, what is that, 15, 16 years.
Are you running events in both countries?
We're looking at getting some events in New Zealand towards the end of next year. So I'm in talks with a few of the councils over there in the different areas. Nice. So hopefully we've got 2 events happening at the end of the year after the Worlds. So I want to get Australia sort of set up before the Worlds, and then, yeah, once we've got all the events here locked in, head over to New Zealand and do a couple there for the boys there, because there's some good boys over there that, yeah, pretty quick.
Do they come over to Australia for the events?
They will be next year. So that's going to be cool. So hopefully we get 4 or 5 of them over. They've already been reaching out to me to tell me to hurry up and release the program, the events calendar, so they can start booking flights. So we're releasing on January the 1st.
Okay, good. Yeah, everybody's anxious to get that. That's everybody I talk to wants to know the schedule. But
yeah,
do you have any Americans coming down? We gotta get some competing down there.
Yeah, we'd love to. I've been in talks with a couple of them, so Martin and Josh, about coming down, but just at the present point, we're trying to get things going here. We'd love to have the boys here. We're working with Golf Australia, so they want to run a big Australian champs at the end of the year, where hopefully we can bring a few boys down and offer enough prize money that we actually do get some guys turn up. Because it'd be pretty cool to have some of the boys here.
Yeah, that would be. It'd be, regardless of the event, that'd be an amazing trip to come down there. So, but
yeah, no, that's the goal, to get long drive worldwide again. That we all can travel, we all can somehow make a living from doing what we want to do, and having fun.
Now, a lot of the people that you're getting to come out, are they like junior golfers? Are they playing in school? And then they're like, oh, I can hit it far, I'll try it out. Or how does that work for you?
Well, we run a few divisions over here. So we run a couple of amateur divisions and the pro divisions, and then we've got juniors and that. With juniors, we're only getting a couple turning up at the moment at each event. Our amateurs, we've got a heap of guys turn up. So we average about 20 to 30 people at an event, what's pretty good for us. When we first started, we got 5 guys turn up. So getting 30 guys now is pretty cool. And about 3/4 of them would be amateurs. And a lot of them have never done long drive, but just or they go out to the golf course and like, I can hit it a long way, I want to have a go at this. So yeah, it's good seeing them come along. Yeah. And out of that, we're getting 1 or 2 guys that want to actually compete seriously. So hopefully we've got a bit of a pro division this year. We've got a few guys lined up. But yeah, the amateurs are the big thing for me. That's the way we move forward. Without the amateur guys coming up, we won't move forward. So we need that. We just need the guys coming along and getting the bug. Like we all get that little bug for long drive, and then just come have some fun and just don't stop.
Yeah. I think it's really fun to see, because a lot of times I would say the majority of long drivers have a similar story to what you said, where they think they can hit it far. They hit it far in tournaments or on the driving range or Top Golf, whatever it is. So then they come out and they try it. And the majority of the time, there's kind of that, uncomfortable start where they're like, oh, okay, well, I hit it far relative to the people I'm used to hitting it, around. But these guys kind of hit it at a different level. So there's usually a bit of an awakening there. But you will find people that, like maybe, the Olympic lifter, like they're just going to, or the discus thrower, maybe they're just like, boom, right away, they're going to be competitive. And then for them, they should absolutely keep going. Yeah. The other people, even if they don't maybe hit it as far as they thought they should, they still hopefully can learn like, oh, this is good for my golf game. Like I should continue to do this. We've seen so many examples, and the average, the TPI put out a big statistic where it's like the number of winners based on driving distance, and it just keeps going up and up and up. So basically saying if you're on tour or if you're playing competitively, the farther you hit it, the more likely you are to be successful. And, if people can use long drive as a tool for their golf game, if they're not going to be playing, like doing long drive exclusively, that's absolutely the way to grow the sport. And the more people you can get to kind of realize that and see it for themselves, be like, hey, I've been training for long drive for a month. I just gained 15 yards off the tee. Like, then they'll be hooked.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. At our last event, we had a young kid turn up. He was 6'11". He never done a long drive comp. Whoa. And he went 140, 205 on his first event as an amateur. And to see that was just crazy, just to have someone like that just turn up. And then we got some more guys that they don't swing it quick, but they just want to compete at every event. They come along, they want to be part of it just for the enjoyment they have. And that's what it's about. It's about seeing you guys doing that. And in regards to the speed thing, my coach, he looks after a few of us here. He trains speed. He trains his juniors to swing quick. And it's just where golf's heading now. Golf, you get it closer to the green, it's easier to make a birdie, easier to make a par. If you're not in the trees, if you lay up and you put it in the trees, you're in trouble. But if you're in the trees beside a green, it's an easy shot. So, yeah, the speed thing's huge.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, that's where golf is, and I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon. When I had Lee Cox on, he talked about different books and studies and stuff that had been done that show really, that's truth. The truth. You'd be better off being farther up and maybe in the rough versus shorter in the fairway. But even after all those studies came out, and still now, I'm sure you can find a lot of great teachers that just don't believe that, or that doesn't align with their philosophy or whatever it is. And I would, maybe challenge them to, look at some of the statistics a little bit more closely, and certainly look at some of the examples. I think probably the clearest example for me was when Bryson won the US Open. Going into that week, people were saying, oh, like this golf course is, incredibly difficult. You need to keep it in play in the fairway and be able to put the spin on the ball coming out of the fairway. So when he kind of released like, oh, my strategy is going to be hitting a driver farther than, just about everybody else and bombing it off the tee, I thought before the week started, I was like, well, he's either going to do great or he's going to do really, really poorly. And of course he won. And I think that's a good example that's just the way golf can be played now.
Yeah, most definitely. And you see a lot of the people even training with Eddie, a lot of the tour pros trying to get speed. It's pretty cool to see that they're actually doing what we as our sport, that they're chasing the same thing now.
I think it's possible if there are some changes made to either course conditions or the ball or whatever, that maybe it would change people's approach. But, cat's out of the bag, I guess. It's like people know now, bomb it farther and hit a wedge up there or whatever. And as long as you got a great short game, can make some putts and stuff like that, you're going to do all right.
Yeah.
Plus,
definitely.
Look, let's not, it's just a lot of fun. Like, it's a lot of fun to hit the ball far. I think everybody wants to do that. So if you get up on the tee and you can have some more fun with the game, that's also going to grow it in a different way.
Yeah, no, definitely. When I play a course now, I'm like, where's the green? It's just trying to find that green. It's trying to get as close as possible. And it makes it more fun, makes it more enjoyable.
It does. Absolutely. So, all right, going back to the World Championship this year, when I was doing some commentary, as of right now, we don't have an award for the best dressed. But I was saying that you probably should be in contention or the winner just because of the tattoos. Like no matter what outfit you're wearing, you're going to be, pretty stylish with all the ink. So how'd that get started?
I was a tiny little kid when I was growing up, got picked on at school. I got to about 17 and started work, and I thought to myself, if I get a tattoo, I'm going to look big and tough. And then got my back tattooed and actually haven't stopped, and I don't know why. It was just to try and be a Tony tough guy at the start, but then fell in love with tattoos, the artwork and looking different. So it's probably 90% of my body's covered now, as you all seen when we were over there. I get looked at very different when I turn up to a golf course. People don't think I play golf, but I can actually play. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's got to be fun. I bet you'd be a fantastic ringer. You could show up like just covered, like you said, and nobody would think you could play. And then all of a sudden you go out and shoot par or whatever, and you can just beat everybody. Take a lot of money that way. Yeah,
no, definitely. And I don't have a handicap at the moment, so I go to Ambrose's and play off 18. So there's a little trick.
Yeah. Man, we got to get in some money games.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. So if you had to guess, how many tattoos do you think you have?
Oh, wow. There'd be over 100 different tattoos on me. Oof. Easy, I'd say. So yeah, it's a bit of time. I've been going for almost probably 20 years doing it. So
wow. That's wild. Are you pretty much full? Do you plan on any more or running out of space?
We've pretty much got close to running out of space, but because I got my back tattooed when I was a little bit smaller, it's got faded and distort. So we're thinking of lasering that off and redoing my back. So
wow,
I don't know why.
That's probably going to be a painful process, but sure to look good.
Yeah. No, it definitely will be painful. They say it's more painful than getting tattooed.
I think Lee Priest, he's a bodybuilder. I'm pretty sure he's from Australia.
Yep.
But I'm thinking of him now because he got some pretty wild face tattoos toward the end of his career.
Yeah.
It's kind of a different look.
Yeah, no, he went and got his face tattooed. A lot of people I can remember because I was bodybuilding when he got his face tattooed. It was a bit weird him just going out and getting that done, showing up on the covers of magazines with his face tattooed.
Yeah. You're keeping yours clean?
Yeah, my face won't get touched. If it ever got a tattoo on it, my missus would disappear. So it's quite good. She's understandable about how much tattoos I've got and how much people look at us. What's quite good. But yeah, we just got to face will stay clean.
All right. Well, you got to draw the line somewhere. So I guess that's a good place.
Yeah.
So not to be like overly cliche or whatever about Australia, but I've never been, like I think I mentioned, and I was just at a street fair here in Tucson like 2 weeks ago. And there was a dude playing the didgeridoo, and it was the first time that I'd ever heard it in person. Oh. And it was actually a really cool experience to like feel, because you can feel it, like it resonates so much, and hear it, and it was a really fun experience. Yep. Is that at all like a thing that you guys do, or is that totally a different part of culture?
Yeah, that's a different part of the culture, but it's quite big over here. So at all the sporting events and everything they have, the major sporting events of the footy and all that, they do have people there playing it. But yeah, it's a big cultural thing over here, huge.
It was pretty,
and they're hard to play too.
I can imagine just watching the guy. Like he's obviously had years and years of practice, but it was unlike anything I've ever heard, because it sounds almost like animal noises, like you can almost picture something out in the bush, like screeching and yelling and growling, and it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, no, it is different. And it gets quite loud too. They do really well.
Yeah, cool. So, what I guess do you have like a message? Obviously, talking about growing the game, trying to get people of all ages and skill levels and everything coming out. Do you have like a message you want to send out to people?
Yeah, just come along and see what it's actually about. And watch some of the guys just what you'll never see. What some of the boys can do, Pete, you just don't see that normally. And it's all about fun. We're here for everyone. We want everyone to come and compete. We don't try and push anyone away just because you can't hit it as far. We have divisions for everyone. It's about enjoying the sport, another form of golf, what we need in the sport. So, yeah, just come out, have some fun, and enjoy what we do.
Well, it seems like the Aussies are always having fun, and that's a big part of who you guys are as well. But long drive is good in that way that, like you said, it doesn't matter. Even if you're not a top competitor, who cares? Like, come out and have some fun, and people are going to be nice to you. I had that similar experience where a number of guys, really top competitors, Landon Gentry, the Dobbins, a bunch of guys, like right away were very friendly and welcoming to me. And it makes a big difference. And I've heard other people say that they have very similar experiences. And I think that's one of the great things about the sport. You don't have to like, put on like some kind of false, whatever. Everybody's there to win. Everybody's kind of a top competitor. They want to, or a lot of guys, and they want to beat everybody. It's a bit of a macho sport,
Yep.
But at the same time, we're there to meet people and have fun, and we want more people to come. So if we're going to be rude to somebody who shows up, that's totally defeating the purpose. Yep. We want to invite everybody. We just want to get to know people. I know tons of people like Bobby Peterson, who's the owner of the PLDA, is a great example. He just loves talking with people of any background, of whatever they're going to talk about. And that's a good way to be.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely true. The hospitality we got from all the Americans when we turned up is just unbelievable. Just the people we met and how friendly you all were to us. None of us had met anyone, and it was like we'd known you all for so long. And it's just a pleasure for us to come over to see that and to have that, because to us, you guys are like the top tier, and we all look up to everyone over there, and to come over there and meet everyone and just how nice everyone was just a truly humbling experience for us all. It was an honor to be there. And I came back and told everyone here about it, and we all are looking forward to next year and coming over, and we want to bring more guys, and more guys want to come. They just want to experience what you guys put on for us, and how nice it was. It was an amazing experience.
Well, I'm sure I can speak for the American competitors when we say that it's an honor to have you there and to meet you guys. And it's really something that we love. And like I said at the very beginning, in my mind, Australians have always had a very significant and vocal contribution to the sport, even if relatively few in number. And it's something great that I love and that the sport needs. And I'm sure everybody wants you guys to continue to grow and continue to have a presence and make the lengthy trip over here to compete. So thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure from us. It's an amazing time.
All right, I want to dive a little bit deeper into your training. So when you're obviously behind you, that looks like a simulator. So what do you do? Like how do you structure it? Do you do certain, like when your speed sessions, are you looking at just speed? Are you changing equipment? Are you drills? There's a lot of different approaches people take. What's yours?
Yeah, well, at the moment, we're just trying to get over a little injury. I've had a major injuries throughout my few years in long drive. So at the moment, we're just working on. I see my coach 3 times a week, so we do a lot of training. We did a little speed session before I pulled my back a few weeks ago, and we got some good numbers for some speed. But now we're just tapering back into some technique, trying to get my sequencing right for the next few weeks. I think mid-January we're going to have a bit of a another little speed check in there, see how we're coming along, leading up to February's event. So yeah, a lot, and me being a bit older and my body not being as nimble and young as a lot of the guys, we look at doing a bit of technique work, bit of speed work through our 3 days of training, and then I've got my simulator in the background where I come in home on the days off and just do a few light drills, nothing too crazy, as I've got to keep my body sort of look after it the best I can. A few years ago, I tore my bicep off the bone at one of the events. Oof. Last year, broke my thumb. So yeah, I'm very injury prone. So, and I'm a builder, so I get injured quite a lot. What we don't want to happen in the next few months.
How did the thumb happen?
Yeah, it's a different style of training. We just leave it up to my coach. Building the simulator behind me, dropped a piece of timber and it broke my thumb.
Ouch.
So yeah, it was a good idea to build the simulator, but not to break my thumb doing it.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. That's I'm laughing, but it's not funny to tear a bicep off the bone or to break a thumb. So
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's not good. I laugh about it now. As long as that's the last time and it stays away now and I stay injury free, we're going to wrap myself up in cotton wool next year so we can prep for the Worlds.
Now, when you're in that prep mode and you're starting to build up more swings, and let's just assume that you're healthy, like for this question, how many balls do you hit and how long is your practice session? Because it seems like you can have a top competitor and the range is pretty big there.
Yeah, I max out around 100 balls. Yeah, just with the age thing creeping in as well, and the body not being the best, we've got to sort of limit it. And I've learned over the last year or so when to shut down. Because we need to keep that body fresh for the 2 days following, because it's every second day pretty much I'm with the coach. So we just got to, look after my body. But normally about 100 to 120 would be max in a session for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems like a pretty good number. Maybe a little high overall, but it depends, because like if you have a good way to track it and you have a TrackMan or FlightScope or whatever, and you can see when you start to drop off.
Yep.
And then like a lot of times what'll happen is people will hit, and let's say that they're looking at ball speed and they're at 210 and they're maintaining, right around 210, a little above, a little below based on the quality of hit and stuff like that. And then when they start to drop off, they'll maybe give themselves 3 swings or 5 swings to get back to a certain number. Otherwise they shut it down. And I think that's a really good way to do it, because sometimes you might, you might actually be getting fatigued, but sometimes there's that little mental hurdle you've got to overcome where you're like mentally fatigued in your practice session, but your body's actually got a lot more to give. So giving yourself that little bit of a challenge, like, hey, okay, I just dropped down to 205 or 200 or whatever your like bottom limit would be. You can say, all right, I've now got 5 swings and I'm going to get back there. And you give that little challenge. It kind of like freshens your mind up a little bit to push past that barrier.
Yeah, definitely. We use the 3 strike system when we're with the coach. So if we're doing a little bit of speed work, we'll go, right, you drop below this number, and you get 3 strikes, you're out. So we do, and we've got TrackMans with the coach. I've got a TrackMan here as well. So we do watch the numbers, and if it drops off, it's game over. If it drops off too far and for too long.
That's great. Do you have a way or a place you can hit outside and see the carry and the roll?
Yeah, we've got a couple of ranges here that are quite good that allow us to go there. Most of them, I think, they're about 330 to 350 meters. So it's pretty good that they allow us to hit at the ranges, because there's a few ranges that won't let us there because we lose all their golf balls. But yeah, so we do get to the outdoor stuff, and with my coach as well, we train the LD boys. We train at nighttime with him, so the golf course is closed, so we can sometimes bring out the golf balls and watch flights.
Nice. How does that work in Australia? If you want to get a venue, are the courses pretty receptive to it? The way I picture it, at least, obviously it depends if you're in a city or if you go outside, but I feel like there's probably a good amount of open land potential.
Yeah, we've had a bit of trouble trying to find venues. So last year we focused on golf courses. Golf courses are hard because they need to shut down, shut holes down, and
Yeah.
we like to have it on the weekends. Our events only go for 3 to 4 hours at the moment anyway. Uh, but yeah, it's quite hard. We've had a few venues say yes, but we've tried to do a bit of night golf and set up lights. But setting up lights to do a night event are just logistically so hard.
Yeah.
So this year or next year, we've reached out to a couple of different venues. So we've got one where they have the V8 supercars, the race cars around the racetrack. We're going to hit in the middle of the racetrack.
Oh.
There's a area that's 400 meters long of grass, so they've more than welcome to have us there. And then we've got another one out at an airfield. So we're heading down a grass runway. So that'll be pretty cool. And yeah, the venue also said there's 2 other runways and the planes will be flying while we're hitting.
Ooh,
so that's pretty
awesome.
Cool. There'll be some good photos. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
that'll
cool.
be really good for the socials, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, we've got a few other golf courses this year for next year have said they're so happy with what our events this year that they're more than welcome to have us back, and they'll close the course a little bit early to get us on earlier. So people are starting to recognise what we are and that we can run good events and get good crowd, and the venues will make money, will make turnover during the event. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. There was a tournament that I used to play in Chicago, and it was right along Lake Michigan, which is the big lake there. And they would have the Chicago Air and Water Show. So they'd bring in all different kinds of jets and like stunt planes and stuff like that. And the golf course where the tournament was happened to be 1 block north of like the main part of the air show. So like when you would tee off on, I think it was the second day of the tournament, and like you're walking down the first fairway, there would be jets ripping over your head. And I mean, it was one of the most intense experiences because you're walking, and then all of a sudden the ground starts shaking. And like, if you've ever been close to a military jet, it sounds like it's ripping the air. It's so powerful. It actually sounds like it's tearing it. It's such a bizarre thing. And there was one time I remember I was walking, I think it was on the final day of the event. I was walking down the hole, and I turned around and I saw this jet up in the air, and it was like spinning, and it kind of pointed like right at me. Like it felt like it was right at me. And it started just zooming down and then ripped right over my head. And I had the feeling of total helplessness. I was like, if that jet was after me, there's nothing I could do. I couldn't run. I couldn't hide. If I were in a car and I had a wide open freeway, I still couldn't get away. It doesn't matter. That jet it was just an insane experience. So I don't know if they'll have that exact at the runways and airfield where you'll be, but that would still be a really fun venue to compete at.
Yeah, no, definitely. That airfield actually said to me there's a heap of nutbag pilots that will do an acrobatic show while we're hitting.
Wow.
So I was like, how cool will that be? Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Man, we gotta publicize that, see if we can get some Americans coming down, and I know I'd love to compete there.
Yeah, no, it's going to be pretty cool. We can't wait. Just to do different venues. It's just, yeah, it's going to be something different, and we're finally going to be able to run some grid events at these places. We've been running TrackMan events because we just haven't been able to get the venues to run grid. So yeah, these other venues like the racetrack and the airfield, we can actually set up a grid. We'll be running TrackMan qualifying to keep the time because we only get the places for a certain amount of time. So we'll do qualifying under TrackMan, and then on the finals for the top 8, we'll go live grid. The coloured golf balls will come out, and it'll be time for some fun.
Yeah.
So it'll be the first time we've pretty much run grid events in Australia under the PLDA.
And when is the first event? I think you said, when was the first event going to be?
February the 24th in New South Wales.
Okay. So anybody listening in that area, or if you can drive and make the trip, come on out February 24th and have some fun.
Oh, it will be. We've just, that venue where we're going to, we had an event there not on mid-November, and it was crazy. It was amazing. We've got people running around screaming. people that want to come back and hit, people that didn't hit, they said they're definitely going to be back to hit. It was a cool event, and we're looking forward to making that our first event next year as well to kick off the season.
That's awesome, man. Well, you're doing a great job as a great ambassador for the sport. I only met you last year, first time, but very enthusiastic, obviously, about it, and I think that carries over the fun atmosphere. And I mean, what more could you ask for? Go outside, have fun at a sporting event. Like, that's about as good as it gets, right?
Oh, that's right. That's it. It's all about the fun. And that's what I love seeing when people come to the events. They're a bit shy. They're a bit nervous. Halfway through, they're just smiling, can't wipe the smiles off their face, having so much fun. It's just everyone loves to have a hit at golf. And this is just that different version.
Yeah, it is for sure. It's a very fun version.
Yeah, so. It is.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time today. Like I said, big fan of what you're doing, and although I haven't known you very long, I really appreciate what you're doing and respect it. So, thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for having me on, and yeah, I'd like to thank you all in America for what you're doing for the sport, for how you're promoting it, and how it's making things grow here. It's all due to what you guys are doing over there, and how the ambassadors you guys are to the sport. It's great. It's an amazing thing.
Well, let's all grow together and have a lot of fun, and then get out on the grid and try to crush each other.
That's it. And smile while we're doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks again, man. I really appreciate your time. We're like, an 18-hour difference. So I know it's early for you there, and I appreciate that as well.
No, not a problem.
But thanks a lot, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you all.